Hello from Royal Texas Memorial Stadium. Noah Gross, I'm Roger Wallace. Longhorns, I want to say escape. They'd never trailed in this game, but it still feel like they kind of stole it from K-State, 33-30 in overtime. And I don't know what Sark said to you guys. He came on our radio show, and I love the fact that he said what everyone was thinking. What an odd game.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty much sums it up in a few words.
I don't know if I've ever seen a game where if either team lost, their fan base would have been so angry. I mean, Kansas State came back, and I know Coach Kleiman on that side was praising his team, rightfully so, for what they did in the second half. But you think about it, an extra point that I didn't quite see exactly what happened on. I think it was a fumbled snap or something like that. And
no, the holder wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, and then a field goal from what? Under 30 yards. That would just hooked. That wasn't blocked, right? I mean, so Kansas State easily could have had that game. And then obviously for Texas to, have the nosedive they had in the second half, and that decision, which we'll talk about in the first half, to not kick the field goal, go for it on fourth down. Yeah, both fan bases would have been very disgusted with a loss. But for Texas, I mean, at the end of the day, 8-1, and at the moment at the moment alone at top of the Big 12.
Yeah, it gets lost because so much happened. But that first quarter and a half, that was a dominating performance by a Texas team that is banged up. Didn't have their six-year starter at tackle, Christian Jones. Kelvin Banks had to come out of the game some. Again, I don't think Jonathan Brooks was 100% today. But then, because of what happened really from the end of the third quarter when they scored on the final play of the quarter until the final gun, that kind of wiped away, I think, some of the goodwill. But how they got there, Malik Murphy was really good, and then he made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, the win is what matters for Texas, especially – I mean, you kind of look at this relative to last year, and, a lot of people were comparing this to the TCU game. Last year, especially after the TCU game, Texas did not control their own destiny. I remember they were rooting for, I think it was KU in the final week of the regular season to beat K-State or something like that. So they had to win and get help. Now Texas controls their own destiny and to try to do what they've said is their goal and reach Arlington for the Big 12 championship. So the fact that they won, obviously, a huge step in the right direction. Similar kind of sentiments post-game about, this shows how far the team has come. They probably not have won this game a couple years ago, which, I mean, I think we both agree is probably true. When the momentum was swinging in years past, Texas was not really able to reel it in any capacity. As far as Malik, yeah, there was a lot of eyeballs on the sideline the first couple of drives. Like, this guy's really got something, because obviously last game we talked about it. First start in a long time, coming back from an injury, being a backup, all those things. So, you kind of give him a longer leash. And then the way he started today was outstanding. Some really impressive throws. We know we can do with the darts. Some touch, which you saw last week in the Adonai Mitchell touchdown. So, yeah, I mean, he looks really good. But as Sark mentioned it post-game, interested to see what he said to you guys. In his analysis of Malik, the one line that really stood out was we kind of have to tell him that he doesn't need everything on every single play. And that was kind of, a couple of those turnovers looked like he was trying to force some things.
Yeah, the old cliche, you want every drive to end with a kick. That's either extra point, field goal, or a punt. That didn't happen. One interception was really a panic move because he was throwing it to Hayden Connor, who was not an eligible receiver. But fast forward, K-State ties it up. They need a drive. Maybe one of his, probably under the circumstances, his best throw of the day was the fourth down to J.T. Sanders, who it appeared was not his first read. Looked like he looked off his first read.
I was going to say, and how many balls did J.T. catch today?
I think he was a lot of decoy. I don't think he's 100%.
Yeah, well, that's something Sark mentioned post-game as well. I asked him about Cedric Baxter, and hopefully we can talk about that in a minute, but he was basically saying, and Quinn Ewers as well, an update on him, Sark was basically saying how injured the team is as a whole. Obviously, we saw what happened on the line, a couple guys having to shift around, but a lot of guys are not 100%, especially on the defense. I mean, guys like Ryan Watts coming back from injury, Jahdae Barron fighting through some things as well. So injuries are a big part of it. But, yeah, that throw to JT, I think, was where, like, JT's one of the key cogs in the offense who, like you said, was a decoy for most of the day. So they knew they had to get it to a guy they could trust on that fourth down, and you were kind of thinking, man, K-State had all the momentum at that point. What a massive play. And there was a couple points today, especially in those first couple of drives we were talking about, where Malik did go through progressions. To me, it looked like from down here very well because we're isolating on the quarterback shooting the game. And he made a couple throws like that. So that really impressed me, especially on that play as well. You could feel the tension in the stadium from here. So for him to be able to convert that shows me, after everything he did early in the game with a couple of those interceptions, to be able to persevere is a big step.
A couple other highlights from what Sark said afterwards, and this one to the news conference afterwards from your perspective.
Sark?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I asked him about Quinn Ewers, kind kind of an update there. He said making progress, still nothing certain, but a big emphasis on the injuries as a whole. He opened it up again, talking about the team's versatility and the kind of multitude of ways they can win a game. As far as the running game, I mean, basically two guys who right around 100 yards, especially with Brooks not even being 100%. Cedric Baxter, people forget, really started the season as the starter, and then he kind of went down. Jonathan Brooks emerged and was one of the best Power 5 runners in the country, still is. So having both of them back is a big step. With Malik, obviously there's things to progress on. We will see if he is again the starter next week. Hopefully we get an update soon, but the thing he kind of talked about as far as the second half was he said they outplayed Kansas State. They just had a couple errors, gave the ball away, as he said. Most drives should end in a kick, and they didn't do that. So it was just some self-inflicted wounds for Texas that he said that let K-State get back in the game. But he's awfully proud and happy that they're 8-1.
Yeah, not all wins are created equal. And early on we thought maybe it's a win where he comes out and says we dominated a really good team. Didn't work out that way. So you escape against a team, get your first overtime win. Last year they lost in overtime to Texas Tech a couple of years ago. Obviously what happened here right in this end zone against Kansas. And again, it's one of those things where some teams are just, they have a little bit of magic. And even though, again, they never trailed in this ball game, felt like they need a little magic. And then that fourth down stop starts with that defensive push. Sark always credits the other part of it, the defensive, the secondary, because Howard wanted a quick read, I think. Once he couldn't have that, and then they got the push, he was in big trouble.
A couple things. One, I wanted to ask, I think it was second or third down where Howard looked like he was going to run and then did a little flip pass. Was the guy open in the end zone? I could not see that.
He was pretty well covered.
Okay.
It was a pretty hard throw, too.
As far as, Sark being happy and things like that. First, about K-State, he was asked about him and Kleiman were talking about postgame. Obviously, he's not going to divulge what they discussed, but he talked about, he said, basically, they're going to miss facing K-State. I mean, these are high-energy games. He's faced them all 3 times and won all 3 times, but they're always close. We were there last year in Manhattan, and it was similar in the sense of Texas jumps out to a lead offense, looked really good, and then kind of things sputtered in the second half, and K-State came back just to fall short at the end. Obviously, that one not in overtime. So, I mean, these battles are always interesting. That end of the drive or end of the game, fourth down, man, I mean, I guess we can just talk about that decision for K-State because Kleiman said if he had it over, he
didn't hesitate.
Yeah.
And the reason it's obviously he meant it is because there was a timeout. And how many times, move over this way, we've got the sun coming in. How many times during a timeout do you see a coach change their mind? They have a little time to think about it. He did not. He wanted the win right there. The reason I thought it was a surprise is because you had a Texas offense that was a little wobbly. So, I get the fact that you've got a chance to put it away, but Texas didn't come close to a touchdown on their first possession. But this guy's a really good coach, and so, who are we to question that call?
Yeah, and I mean, especially when you have a quarterback with the mobility and physical presence of Will Howard, it seems like that's the perfect kind of style of quarterback you want on a fourth down. The play breaks down, he can reach, bull somebody over if he needs to, and reach the ball across. I thought there was no shot they were going to do it, but kind of as the timeout happened, things like that, I was like, I guess I understand. Especially on the road, they seem to have momentum, and with the Texas offense was sputtering as you said. But I mean, we talked to Barron Sorrell post game, and he just talked about how much that moment meant to him. Guys like that. I saw David Benda, who was kind of notoriously on the back end for that Oklahoma drive, and he was one of the guys along with Jaron Thompson, who was Nick Anderson who caught the game-winning touchdown for Oklahoma. Benda was one of those guys that could have guarded Anderson, and he took a lot of the blame for that. He said, that's on me. So to see him post-game, getting some playing time late, just really soaking it in. A cool moment for both of those guys that had to work for some playing time. So obviously ugly, but seeing the way Texas celebrated at the end, man, that clearly meant a lot to them.
And then did you get to talk to Burt? 4 for 4.
He was on the other side.
Okay, but
Sark was asked about it.
Yeah, I mean, what an effort. You don't think about him until either he makes a mistake or you need him, and today Burt Auburn was clutch.
And he made some mistakes earlier in the year, and, I don't know if it was that many people, but people were asking, what's kind of going on with the kicker position? Is there going to be a switch there? And Sark was saying, if you switch Burt and then you put somebody else in and they miss, then what do you do? So, yeah, I mean, he just said he loves Burt's work ethic, and, I mean, calm and true, and one was from pretty long today when they really needed it. So, what a weapon a good kicker is. Texas has had a lot of them in years past, and he seems to be only getting better.
I know you're jealous of his hair, too. On the road for the next 2 now, TCU. This has been a tough place. They're going to try to do especially these Texas schools that will be sticking around in the Big 12 will do. They're wobbly. Lost at Tech, although they had their chances. Not sure if it's going to be their freshman Josh Hoover, but man, you can go up there and take care of business. Obviously, that sets up a huge one in a couple of weeks in Ames, Iowa. But I know it's all about TCU.
Sun keeps following us. Yeah, that one at TCU will be interesting. Obviously, I think nobody really would have thought this before this season, especially early in the season. Iowa State looks like by far the toughest team Texas has left, and that one's on the road. So it's weird to think of it as a look-ahead game when you're on the road against the reigning national runners-up. I don't think Texas will do that, but that seems to be Texas's toughest test the rest of the way. And I will say, when we were doing instant analysis last week, I said, and I think you agreed, if Texas was to win next week, i.e. today against K-State, we'd have a hard time projecting them not making it to Arlington. We'll see what happens in Bedlam. Last time I saw Oklahoma State was up by a decent amount, but it seems like Texas, is getting better. Obviously, we saw what happened in the second half. Quarterback situation a bit iffy, but maybe can afford another loss. Like we said, they control their own destiny. They will be a favorite next week at TCU. Quarterback situation will be interesting. But yeah, I mean, what they have going on in Fort Worth is interesting as far as the kind of the drop off, because now they're fighting to get bowl eligible even, and they desperately need to win and would be happy to play spoiler.
Yeah, and in kind of a backwards kind of way. Because Texas has the loss to Oklahoma, they don't have the tiebreaker. So maybe in a perfect world, they just both win out, and Texas and OU have that rematch, and Big 12 office's worst nightmare. So once again, nice to have a earlier game here, so we can get out of here with daylight. Longhorns win it 33-30 in overtime, 8-1, equal their win total from last year, get to 5-1 in the Big 12. For Noah, I'm Roger. Thanks for watching.